The Republic, a book that is considered Plato's magnus opus. It is an attempt by Plato to define the ideal state, and what an attempt that was. In 10 magnificent chapters, the philosopher manages to immerse ourselves in dialogues illuminating cognitive brilliance and in philosophical concepts of the greatest importance. All of Plato's books have more or less the same format. Socrates is the main hero, so to speak, and he has dialogues with different Athenians, since Plato and Socrates both lived in Athens and taught philosophy there. The main theme of the book is that of justice. With Plato's background and experience living in Athens during the time of the 30 tyrants after the Peloponnesian War, many people suppose that his experience triggered the inception of the Republic. Whatever the case, Plato created a philosophical work of extraordinary significance that manages to inspire Western thought till this very day. Why do people demand justice? Why is justice at the epicenter of our experience? Is it because we fear social punishment, or is it something more visceral that emerges from our desire to cooperate and coexist? According to Plato, justice is worthwhile in and of itself. He begins to support this thesis in a very interesting way. He introduces us to Thrasymachus, a sophist, a teacher for hire for the wealthy sons of Athens. Sophists believe in subjective morality, or moral relativism as we call it today. They don't deem actions as right or wrong, but rather as advantageous or disadvantageous for the people performing them. Thrasymachus, during a discussion with Socrates, asserts that justice is nothing else than the interest of the stronger. By that, he means that the government is concerned with justice and that people should just follow the rules of the government. And Socrates refutes his argument in a quite lengthy but, in my opinion, genius way by explaining him how governments can make errors. Then Thrasymachus posits that injustice is better than justice because the strong realize how to take advantage of erroneous systems to promote their interests. Socrates clearly disagrees with that and again refutes the argument in a lengthy but genius way. He proposes to look for justice in the city first and then to proceed by analogy to find justice inside the individual. Plato, from this deep discussion on justice, tries to extrapolate what the ideal republic can look like. Political justice is predicated upon harmony on the way society is structured. An ideal state consists of three main classes of people: rulers, warriors, and craftsmen. The rulers are philosophers who can reason and think deeply and provide a good ruling system for the city. The warriors guard the city from internal and external threats. The craftsmen are mainly producers and provide the city with the necessary products and services required to run properly. The reason Plato decides to use these three categories is because he believes that people have three fundamental behavioral tendencies: appetite, spirit, and reason, and that in every person one of the three tends to prevail. The ones who gravitate towards appetite should become craftsmen. The ones in whom the spirit prevails should become warriors, and the ones who hold reason as the ultimate virtue in life should become rulers, after rigorous selection and long periods of training. A society is just when relations between these three classes are balanced. Socrates doesn't really explain how the classification will ensue, but he suggests that all the citizens should be told a noble lie called the myth of the metals so as to promote allegiance to the state and enforce its three-tiered social order. According to this myth of metals, every citizen is born out of the earth of the state and every other citizen is his brother or sister. Yet God has created them differently, mixing different metals into their soul: gold for the rulers, silver for the warriors, and brass or iron for the craftsmen. Children are usually made of the same metal as their parents, but if this is not the case, the child must either descend or ascend in the social order. As mentioned before, a society is just when relations between these three classes are balanced. This is a direct parallel to the human soul. Plato believes that individual justice expresses itself through the inner balance of the soul. Each individual soul is affected by three separate parts. The appetite part lusts after money, food, drink and sex. The spirit part yearns for honor. The rational part desires truth and knowledge. In essence, we all have a craftsman, a warrior and a philosopher, a ruler inside us. In a just soul, the power dynamics between these three parts are specific. The rational part rules, the spirit part enforces the rational part's convictions, and the appetite part needs to operate according to the directions of the former two. Plato realizes that if the rational part doesn't rule, the whole constitution of the individual can fall apart. He also believes that the just soul strives wholly towards the truth. The idea of truth is emblematic of his work, and it becomes apparent in the allegory of the cave. The cave symbolizes this limited world that keeps us trapped, and the shadows are the only things we perceive as real because of the limitations imposed upon us. When the prisoner escapes and gains access to the outer world, he encounters the sun, which is the absolute truth. Plato makes three important points in the allegory with regards to the truth. One, that it takes time to get accustomed to the truth and eventually re-engineer one's perception in order to understand it and accept it. Number two, that once one sees the truth and accepts it, one can never go back to their former state. And number three, that the truth can be perceived as something dangerous by some people because often the truth hurts so much that people will feel that it's not worth risking what they have for something so precarious. The manifestation of the truth-seeking individual is the philosopher king. That's why he writes, "Until philosophers are kings, or the kings and princes of this world have the spirit and power of philosophy, and political greatness and wisdom meet in one, cities will never have rest from their evils, no, nor the human race, as I believe, and then only will this state have a possibility of life and behold the light of day." I'm not sure if the Republic really constitutes an attempt from Plato to create the ideal state, or if it is an allegory and a critique towards different forms of government. I'm on the same page with Plato with regards to the idea that we need more philosophers in politics, but I'm not sure I agree with the rest. Philosophy allows the thinking human to study the greatest problems of mankind in depth. Politicians don't do that. They're just actors in a flawed and mostly corrupt system. Very few of them have actually studied philosophy, and the ones that did mainly scratched the surface. The difficulties of political life are inescapable and require honest and responsible participation. Plato believes in hierarchies and propaganda, and that is very dangerous. He tries to create an elitist society, both intellectually and hierarchically. Obviously with good intentions, but it risks the fact that this regime can easily regress into authoritarianism. People that don't belong in the higher classes will always feel inferior and grow resent towards the other classes. Resentment is a very dangerous feeling. Democracy is certainly flawed and prone to manipulation, but a just state cares about the well-being of all citizens without discrimination. Intellectual development should be the bedrock of all citizens and should encourage people to participate and feel included, especially when it comes to small-scale experiments in governance. In any case, the Republic is a seminal work filled with great thought experiments orchestrated by a genius format called Socratic dialogue. Plato is one of the pioneers of Western thought, and he will always fill our minds and souls with innumerable moments of inspiration and awe. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below something cool, please, so that more people can discover it. If you want to watch more videos from my channel, check out this one and this one. Take care, see you soon. Adrian out.